Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Gregoire. I think a lot of you, hopefully you all know me. I'm the legislative director for the New York State Association of Counties. And joining us today is our amazing team from eScribe. And eScribe, for those of you who don't know, um, is a company that came to us with a software solution for personnel in counties that handle um, primarily your meetings, your agenda creations, your board of representatives, board of legislators, and board of supervisor uh, meetings and material. So I, in my prior life to NYSAC, had a lot of experience having to, pull together the agenda, add the resolutions, bring together memos, all of the material that goes into your monthly meeting packets. And when eScribe came to us at NYSAC, I candidly said to Ethan, gee, I wish I had this at my
hmm
fingertips back when I was in Schenectady County because this would have made my life so much easier. So eScribe was fortunate enough to join us when the clerks of the county legislative boards were here in Albany a few weeks ago for their conference. They came and talked to folks at lunchtime, and during that event, we promised that we would bring them back to do a webinar. So that's what today's event is. This is being recorded. We are going to share it afterwards. So if you have friends out there who are unable to attend, we can get them a copy. We'll be happy to share this over the listserv and get it out to counties. We'll also be putting out our weekly county perspective, and we'll be including this webinar as part of that communication to members as well. So with that, I'm very excited to check out this demo, hear a little bit more about what Ethan has to say. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ethan, and you can take us through it.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the intro and all of you for attending today. I'm Ethan Dreger, account executive from eScribe. I work with New York State and a lot of the Eastern Seaboard itself. You'll have to forgive me. I'm a little under the weather today. I think I might have caught something from a conference I was at for the past few days, but I will power through. But yeah, once again, appreciate you being here. And yeah, as Ryan mentioned, we had met and some of you may have been in the room when we briefly presented at lunch when you were when all of you were together a few weeks ago in Albany. So yeah, to dive into things just at a high level, the general plan for today is I'll spend a few quick minutes just mentioning who we are, who we work with, why clients work with us specifically, and might divert back to Ryan for a moment, going back to his comment of wishing that he had something like this at Schenectady County. So I'll go through a couple of quick slides and we'll make sure you have access to that deck afterward. It's more of a takeaway, and then we'll take a look at eScribe from the public facing view and internally and show how we could streamline your processes themselves. So yeah, once again, thanks, Ryan. Do appreciate the intro there. So I'll go ahead and share my screen in just a quick moment here. So I know many of you who may be viewing do not have any sort of agenda management software in place today. And some of you might as well too. We are very experienced working with clients who are just coming on board to any type of software, as well as folks that are coming from other platforms as well too. As a company, we are solely focused on cities, counties, and the municipal space itself. So we are solely focused on the agendas and minutes, everything related to getting your agendas together themselves, so that we can really hone in on making sure that we can help you optimize your process itself. Working with over 500 municipalities across North America and growing significantly. Our biggest focus and biggest differentiator between us and other vendors that you may explore, which I always encourage, but our biggest focus is providing a really great client experience the entire time that you're working with us. And I know that some of you may have heard me mention this and go through some of these points in the, at that lunch meeting itself. But yeah, as I say, a great client experience is why clients come to us and stay with us and are generally very happy to refer us to their peers as well too. What I mean by great client experience is great training and implementation right out of the gate. So having a dedicated account team to get you up and running, teach you how to use our platform, build it out to best align with, build out our platform and configure it to best align with your needs, with your processes. There's always a little bit of nuance to everyone's process itself when it comes to how memos are submitted and approved and agendas are created and how your meetings are run and taking minutes and engaging with with your elected officials themselves. So anyway, great training and implementation, but great ongoing support as well too. So making sure that you have dedicated contacts that are there that you can reach out to and develop relationships with to ensure that you have someone who understands your needs and is there to help on an ongoing basis. And there's a full support team on top of that as well too, that has a really fast response time, which our clients certainly appreciate. So customer experience is everything to us. It is our North Star, for lack of a better term. And that's best, I guess, envisioned by chatting with references and other communities who are using us. So more on that later. And I know you probably see many slides on the left. I won't be going through all of them, not to worry. So the last couple of thoughts here are that we are, of course, focused on accessibility and security and an easy to use platform. And we're constantly building this out to improve as new functionality is requested by our customers. We want to continue to build on our platform itself. And as I mentioned, we've brought people over from other platforms before, and all of the Granicus platforms, Novus Peak, IQM2, etc. One Meeting, Minute Track, you name it, Diligent products, Civic Plus products, and we can even migrate your public-facing agendas and minutes over to our platform, so that everything is in one easy to locate web portal. So a couple of other quick slides and we'll jump into taking a look at the platform. Just a few county examples from across North America, of all different populations. And I think it's important to note that eScribe is very scalable. And as you can see, looking at this very short list of example clients from across North America or across the US is varying populations. And we have communities that are under 1,000 residents all the way up to large cities like the city of Detroit that's using us, in McHenry County in Illinois, 300-ish thousand people. And many folks have come over to us from Granicus and have stayed with us because of that great support focus more than anything. As I say, we'll make sure you have this afterward. And then just when it comes to differentiators and other than the fact of that client experience, the other thing is that we are, as I mentioned, we're solely focused on the agenda management software platform, everything related to that. We build our own platform and we continue to update and optimize and add in new functionality and invest in our clients and our platform itself. I've got some exciting things to show you on that front itself. But I do know, with other vendors, acquire other software companies and don't always iterate on them the best or integrate them the best with other offerings. So with us, we are one single platform for memo submission, creation, submission, approvals of those documents, getting those items on the agenda, preparing the agenda, pushing it out to your elected officials and your website and whomever needs to receive those, as well as making it easy for you to quickly take minutes and make sure that you have a consistent look and feel of your agendas and documents and process itself. So with that single platform, goes a long way. And the fact that we are continuing to improve it is so important as well too. So let's take a look at a few things here. So if any, just make sure that I'm looking at, I need to stop and then share a different window. So Ryan, while I switch over to the screens, now just curious, and I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but as you
Yeah.
mentioned that, why you saw that value, tell us more.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, when I was in the county, right, we were in charge in the county manager's office of pulling together the packet of material for our county legislature. We were tasked with that function. So, and that fell on my lap. And we had different departments that had contracts, or they were receiving funds from the state of New York, or perhaps they were making amendments to positions. All of those types of activity have to be approved by, the county legislature through resolution. And, you know, every department head that has anything to deal with that action has to submit a memo. I had to submit a memo. So that way our board knew, okay, these people have signed off on this. Finances check the box, personnel, county manager's office, and now it's to the
Mm,
legislature. But through that process, as everyone on this webinar knows, there are hundreds of changes to those documents. Memos are flying in last minute. Contracts are being edited. There's a last minute agenda item. Maybe something gets on the rules committee, in the 11th hour, right before the meeting begins. And it was a pain, right? We were just using Microsoft Word and Adobe to create the PDF, um, and merging all the documents together. Adobe Pro is great, but it's very restrictive in its flexibility. So when you were showing me, the back end of eScribe, my mind was kind of blown because the ability to route to a department head to say, okay, now it's your responsibility to do something. The ability to, figure out, an agenda might have 15, 20, 30 different items on it, to try and keep track of who needs to submit what and where everything is in the process. It's really hard, when you don't have that kind of a tool. So it would have been a huge time saver. And I guess, just the headache of having to re-edit a PDF document by adding new documents to it, deleting other documents, it was a nightmare.
yeah, appreciate that, Ryan. Sorry to hear you had to go through all that more than anything, but if only there's a better way, right? So, yeah, it's another thing to mention too that I haven't even yet is webcasting and live streaming of your meetings and making that really easy. So, take you on a high level tour of a number of different facets of the platform itself. And for anyone, I'm happy to meet with any of you individually for your own counties and really dive in, wrap my head around your process itself, and show you how eScribe could potentially support and bring efficiency to that process itself. So going back to sharing my screen again, one other thing I just wanted to mention is that from a partnership perspective, I was at the IMC conference and a few of us were a couple of weeks ago in Calgary, partners with them. And then platforms like Laserfiche for document storage can integrate with those. And then from a contracting perspective, SHI and Carasoft were available through them through GSA and other purchasing vehicles. So I always like to point that out. And we are Microsoft partners. So I'll show you why that's exciting in just a quick moment here. So in looking at now, I just want to double check, Brian, because I'm a little off. We should be able, we can see my browser here.
Yeah, we can see
Great.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So I'll quickly show the public facing view of eScribe and what your residents can see. So I Greensboro came over to us from Granicus in 2020. They were seeking an easier to use platform and better customer support. And they've been with us ever since and have been very happy. And nothing's perfect, right? There are times when things will go wrong. And I point that out because support is everything. And Greensboro's clerk, Angie Lord, she's done a case study with us. She's always happy to meet new clerks from across the country to just speak about her experience. She's very candid, but overall very happy. So anyway, when we go to their page for council meetings, legislature, different example, but same at the same time. This calendar that we see here, this is the public facing view of eScribe. So we work with, this can be implemented into any website, into your existing website, or it can operate as its own standalone page as well too. But for your residents, we want to make sure that it's easy for them to come and find the information that they're looking for. And transparency is obviously a hot topic these days. So, they can come here and search for something like dog park. And I guess there's nothing related to dog park within there. So, for example, but search for items and filter down based on the individual item that they might care about. But all of your agendas and minutes are all accessed through this calendar for your residents themselves. And you can run all of your different meeting types, committee meetings, commissions, etc., not just your regular legislative meetings themselves. And then your historical documents are readily available in here. So if I look back on this meeting from April of last year, or last a couple of months ago, then I can click into this and I can see the agenda and the minutes that have been created and published through eScribe, as well as that live stream that was recorded during that meeting as well too. So of course, you all know what a PDF agenda looks like. And this is how Greensboro's looks. I won't bore you with going through many pages here, but the most important piece is that this template of theirs, this is how they prefer the look and feel of their agendas, is all created through eScribe with a lot of automation and making your life easier and revising those agendas, those last minute items and whatnot. And there's lots of formatting options is what I'm getting at for what the actual agenda looks like. But we also create this web-based or HTML view. This is important for accessibility purposes and also makes it easier for your residents to find the information that they're looking for. So when we see the web-based view here, first, right off the bat, I know that you're noticing this video that's here. And what eScribe does, some of you may have seen this before, but we enable the video and the agenda side by side, and eScribe automatically timestamps the video. So I can scroll down here and see a web version of the agenda that's automatically created. It's not extra work for you. And we can go through and see these items have attachments. So if I only care about this item, for example, then the reports are broken out on the right here, the supporting documents and attachments. So I don't need to sift through many 100-page document. And the agenda, it would be timestamped as well too, the video. So when I clicked on this item here, it jumped to that 28-minute mark. So I can actually see that portion of the live conversation itself. Ryan, I saw you pop off mute for a second there.
I was going to ask you. So if you click that hyperlink, does the video adjust the time? So that's pretty neat. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah.
Now
and so he's got. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say in New York State, we have the counties have the option to live record their minutes, and if they do so, they have to offer residents the ability to participate online. But it's optional. You don't have to do it. Some counties have opted into it, some have not. Is that a feature that you can turn on and off? And how does it interface with the public that has to have the ability to engage on this?
Yeah, great question. Appreciate that. So the answer is yes, there are ways that we can facilitate your residents joining themselves, but it's really how you do it today. And we enable the webcast connected to that. So a lot of times we hear folks either using Zoom or Teams or WebEx or something along those lines to facilitate that hybrid meeting or enabling residents to join and participate if so. So you would still use Teams or Zoom or whichever to enable that, facilitate those residents actually joining the call. And eScribe enables that Zoom video to, or sorry, like the Zoom video itself, that live video to be webcast more than anything. So eScribe, so we would set that up for you, and it's easy to change. And but basically, you click launch, you launch your Zoom meeting, click launch webcast in eScribe, and it will go through Zoom, for lack of a better term. So easy to
Very
do.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So there is this, that web-based agenda. As I mentioned, we saw that timestamp example when we clicked on an item here. We do optionally have live closed captioning available as well too. And with that, Greensboro does not use it, but can certainly do so. And just looking at the Calgary agenda where IMC was a couple of weeks ago, and they're 1.3 million residents for the record, and they've been working with us for a number of years now as well too. So all that to say, we can actually see they've got a live meeting going on right now, and they had their agendas appearing in a list view in previous meetings down below, which this is also all configurable within eScribe, so that you can have the look and feel that you're going for, but making it easy for you to create those agendas, take the minutes, and easily publish those out to the website itself. Going back to that closed captioning thought, it's generated through AI through Amazon Web Services, and it has a 97% accuracy rate. So very good compared to YouTube, which I think is about 65% accuracy rate for those captions. So all that to say, we've seen the public view quickly here. We can see upcoming and look back on historical meetings, but let's look at the good stuff. So this is the internal backend view of eScribe. And it's important to note that there are many different permissions and roles and user types to make sure that only the right folks can access the right information within here. So from the clerk's office and county manager's office, you might have access to everything, where you can see all the agendas and see all the documents that are being submitted and knowing where they are in real time. More on that in a moment. But an individual contributor within one of your departments that's creating a memo, an attachment to become an agenda item, they might only see the items they create, for example. And I am keeping it very high level because this we can go very deep and spend hours going through everything. But yeah, just keep it high level for today. So on the right is the meeting section. So here I can see a couple of upcoming meetings that we've created and scheduled through eScribe. And connected to each of these are the agendas and minutes and agenda items, supporting documents. And then there's actually a full reporting center to be able to pull reports on all of those pieces of information combined and separated however desired. So meetings are here, and we'll create a meeting and an agenda in just a moment. And then there's this document section. And so this, like for someone that's in Ryan's role as the county manager, this is the powerful piece where we can see that someone's created this memo, and everyone calls them something a little bit differently, but whatever report, cover page, memo, etc., is that you have your staff fill out. We enable those to be created through eScribe as well. And for using Ryan as the example, he would have been able to see in real time which meeting this was for, the specific meeting date, where on the agenda it was coming from, and the department it was coming from, and the status of it as well too. So we could see this is in draft mode, and eventually it will go through approvals and show the status of where the approval's sitting, and then we can easily add that item onto the agenda. And we'll go through all that quickly too. So meetings, your memos, documents coming in. And this agenda item section here is like a parking lot is the best way to put that. So maybe items that have been deferred or referred or held at a meeting, click a button, it goes to this parking lot and you can easily action it and add it to a future meeting. Or maybe it's an item that we don't know which meeting it's going on. Then that can come in here and can easily be added to the appropriate meeting when the time is right. So go
That's
ahead, Ryan.
important, Ethan, because the order of the actions change right throughout the process. Some
Right.
things are prioritized, some things are not, yeah, etc. So the ability to have that parking lot, that's a good feature. Thanks.
Thank you. So now all your documents can live in eScribe as long as you like. And you can easily search for historical information and resolutions when they were adopted or when they were voted upon. So I actually use this filter function and I filter down based on just legislature meetings within this month. But I can change these filters to see a whole bunch of different meeting types and look back on many historical agendas. And again, minutes, documents are all connected to these. And you can also see I have many different meeting types as well too. So you can easily click into one of these and see those agendas and minutes and supporting documents. And same applies for the documents themselves that are your memos and documents that are coming from your departmental staff. We can search and filter based on an individual department or where it is in the approval queue as well too. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna bring my filters back to this month and county legislature examples here, and let's create a meeting. So as I mentioned, training and support is everything. So our team will work with you to build out your agenda template with all of your standing items on it and multiple templates as well too. And same thing with your memos and the workflows they should go through and the users, and you can change all of that stuff yourself. And we teach you how to do so, but we always want to help as well. So create a new meeting. I just click the plus button, and with this, I'm picking the basics, working toward creating an agenda. And eScribe will do that for us. So we picked the basics, when and where is this meeting itself. So we'll create when I click on this list, it pulls in all my different meeting types. And when I pick county legislature, it pulls in my template of all my standing items. And we can also pick the attendee group. So I can use city council example. So apologies, I know counties, but same concept with this. When I select this group, it's going to automatically send the invite to all of the meeting participants and maybe admins, like Ryan and Mark, for example, if they receive, send them the invites as well. And this also, there's a lot more to this grouping. It adds them for attendance tracking on the meeting and their voting capabilities. And they're all easily adjustable as well too, and can change and create them. So we picked the
Ethan,
basics. Go ahead,
in
Ryan.
that field, yeah, in that field, if you were to have like a public works committee meeting, you could go into that attendee group and you would set it up where you're only sending it to the people that belong to that committee. Is that correct?
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, great.
And that's becomes easy for rescheduling meetings too, because you can later on just change the date. It'll update all their invites, etc. And you can even send them a notice through eScribe quickly too. So yeah, we picked the meeting type, who, when, and where. Create this maybe for next week, and then a really important one is the submission deadline. So with eScribe, it's all about, and I'm guessing one or two of you on the call may have some repeat offenders and others that might not always get their agenda items to you on time. So eScribe can help to facilitate that. We could create a deadline when agenda items are due. And this, might be a week before or 2 weeks before, or something like that. And that deadline can be a firm deadline and close at that time. But there's also options to have a late exception approval workflow if an item is coming in late. Or we could leave it open and be really nice, and it'll still give reminders when the items are due. So maybe 5 days beforehand. And there's lots more to this as well, but I'm just focusing on a few key points here. So we go ahead and hit create. I did this beforehand, so I'm going to jump into that meeting itself where I'll be able to actually I'm going to use this June 26th meeting instead. So clicking into this, then eScribe has created the initial agenda template for me. So pulls in all the standing items here. And I realize that these are not your standing items on your agenda, but we'll pull those in. But it also pulls in the attendees. So by selecting that grouping, then it pulled them, the meeting participants, as well as some of the admins, so that they'll be added for attendance tracking. So we're going to prepare an agenda, click a button, and it'll create the whole document in PDF in the web version. And then we're going to send it out for approval internally, publish it to the website, and we're going to run the world's fastest legislature meeting and take some minutes in that. So, and I know that that one always cracks me up because we know they're never short. So a couple of things to point out here too are that we can see, and this is all we've done is click create the meeting. There's some motions right on these items. So in the meeting, we'll be able to track your mover and seconder, and you can either have your meeting participants voting electronically themselves if you like, or you can log their votes on their behalf in the system, and eScribe will automatically create your minutes document for you with those vote outcomes. And we'll take a look at that. And we could also even build minutes right into the template itself. So commonly used expressions, because really eScribe is preparing your agenda and secretly preparing your minutes at the same time. And the look and feel of eScribe is the same as we're preparing the agenda in pre-meeting mode. And then very similar when we're conducting the meeting, tracking, logging votes, etc. And then afterwards, we'll brush up those minutes and send those to a future meeting for adoption. So a couple of things. So one, when I click on an item here, or say if I want to add a new item, then I can click on finance and planning. And I will note that there are a few different ways to add items. So I think a good example is, say if I'm putting something maybe instead under a consent agenda, then when I click on the item, then the details of each item is on the right as we click through. And this is where we can enter whatever information we need to, or add items underneath them. So we can put descriptions, connect them to departments, can also track conflicts of pecuniary interest in here, add files in their regular file format so you don't have to convert them to PDF yourself, put some minutes in to kind of prep beforehand if you do that, or you can take them during the live meeting, and we can add votes and lots more to here. But if I just want to add a new item under consent agenda, maybe it's something simple like staff party. Keep it simple here. Then I can just say new item and say, we're looking to have a party on July 4th, and I can click upload and attach files in their regular file format. So I can add the PowerPoint that I was briefly going through beforehand, and eScribe will convert that over to PDF for me. So, and of course I get a glitch when that happens in a demo. I'm in a demo portal itself, and everything that can go wrong on a webinar will, for sure. So I'll do this again quickly. Staff party, add a PowerPoint. If I can find it, add that on. I think there's something funky with my document, so I apologize, but ultimately would add that item right on for us. I can add something else under finance and planning and pick a different document type. We'll do staff party again here, or something else. And maybe I'll just add a Word document, whatever this Word document is, and hit upload. And that item appears here now as well too. And there's lots of other things, again, that we can go through, but I'm keeping it simple here. But the staff party document is now on there, and I can put a background, looking to celebrate the 4th of July, which is creeping up on us quickly, as I'm sure you all know. I can connect it to an individual department, finance, they have to pay for this party. And then the attachments coming through, we can always add more. And I can add this vote on as well. So I was originally putting this under consent, and you're able to easily vote on all those items during a meeting itself. In this case, if it's this individual item, we can add a vote on here, and I can say, motion to approve of the staff party. And in the meeting, we'll be voting and tracking and logging the votes on that motion. And of course, we can change the wording, or you can do all this stuff during the live meeting as well too. So should we, the motion wording come together there, then we can easily edit that or create new items or amendments as well. So it's added a vote on here for me. And in the meeting, again, we'll pick our mover and seconder and result. A couple other quick things before we prepare the agenda and then run the world's fastest meeting. And I know we haven't looked at the whole workflows and approvals that Ryan was talking about yet, but we'll take a quick look at that side in just a moment. I can also do things like reorder agenda items. So for yourselves, renumbering PDFs, not enjoyable, I'm sure. If I want to move the staff party down under zoning and planning or something like that, IT, or I can just drag and drop those items, and eScribe's going to renumber all those items for us and the pages of the documents, etc. So of course, you'd add many more items themselves, and we haven't even looked at how staff memos and documents are submitted yet. But all we do is we go to our menu and hit prepare. And this is where eScribe can prepare that agenda for me, the full agenda, or maybe just the cover sheet or both. And other options available as well. Say if you need to create an addendum for revising an agenda, eScribe can do all of that for you. So I hit prepare. And this might take a few minutes, but I'm guessing it's probably faster than what you might go through on a Friday night when you're stuck there with the late agendas themselves. And then I will be able to see what this looks like. And I will preface it that my agenda template that I have in here is nothing special looking, but you saw the example with Greensboro there as well too. And this just speaks to there being plenty of template settings themselves. So I can now see this was created, and I hit view, and here's my agenda. And again, apologies that it's city council. However, this needs to be formatted, but it created my whole agenda for me, and it added that attachment on that I had added. I'm going to the Florida Clerks Conference next week, so that's their hotel lift. So that was fast in a sense, just looking at that very quickly. But again, automatically, very quickly preparing your agenda, and then we can always go back and click on the home button. It takes us back to this meeting and move that item around or add more items, and just click those buttons again, and it'll revise our agenda itself. So I've prepared that. And then when I want to publish the document to the website, or I should also mention that there's a full approval process that's possible to route that agenda internally for approval and then publish it to our website and to the meeting participants. But I created my agenda, and I just go to publish now, and I can publish this out to the participants of the meeting. And we have ways that they can access their agendas online if they want. I know many are still stuck on their paper, and that's okay. eScribe is 95+% of the system is really for internal efficiency and transparency for residents. But there is a world where they could get their agendas, the meeting participants could get their agendas on an iPad or on a Windows tablet, and even just right in the web browser. And with that, they can highlight items, put notes on it, mark up items, communicate with clerk staff if so desired, and be best prepared for the meeting itself. So I just would hit publish, and it'll publish that meeting date, and then I can send hit publish on the actual agenda itself once I push that out to them. And I can click a button to notify participants or admins, and hit publish to push the whole agenda out, or just the cover sheet to the participants. And same thing to the internet, to our website. So I would click this button, it'll publish this meeting date out, as well as the agenda. We'll click these to publish in that web version and the PDF version to your public facing portal with Greensboro as the example. So that would instantly appear there. So I'm going to quickly jump over and give a high level tour to the agenda items side of things, because that's where a lot of additional pain is as well, and structuring and streamlining this. And going back to Ryan's example, I can't let you down and not show this. There's always more to go through, so I have to be cautious with how I'm spending my time here. So so I can see that this memo has been created by a staff member, and I can click into it, and it's a Word document. That's all it is, but it's Word that's connected to eScribe. And when I mentioned us being a Microsoft partner, this document ensures that, so we enable your staff to still use Word because they do today. And we see faster adoption throughout the departments by enabling them to still use what they're using, but it's Word connected to eScribe. So the benefit of that is that you can see where the items are. You can, eScribe will open the right template for them every single time. And you can change the template and it's globally applied. So all of your staff now are using the right template, as I know they tend to evolve in an unpreferred favor over time. I think you know what I'm getting at. So I saw your look there, Ryan, for sure. So
The
right
format
template.
is
Right?
locked. They can't come in here and change font and all that other stuff.
So you can certainly lock it down. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
In this case, I don't have it set so that it is as deeply as you can, but ultimately you're bound by the limits of Word more than anything. And people will use the developer tools to lock the items down. But yeah, the template itself is created, which I know is important for accessibility purposes. So the coolest thing, in my opinion, but the best thing that eScribe does as part of this with the memo, so they created, they filled in the recommendation and the background, and of course, hopefully they would have filled in the rest, and you'll be able to see that, but we won't in the interest of time today. But the most important items are here. So these items actually pull the wording from this, pulls right out of the Word document and places it onto the agenda. And of course, this memo will come through and it creates a vote about this item and puts that background in there. So you don't have to duplicate your effort, someone else's efforts, and copy and paste items over. And so that's been started. It's still in draft mode. And for your staff, they would have a simpler view where they'd log in, hit create memo, and pick which meeting it goes on, and then fill it out. And of course, lots that we can dive into on that. We won't in the interest of time today. We'll probably be about 6 more minutes of looking here, and then we'll open it up to Q&A for the record. But the staff can send it out for approval as well. So now, using Ryan's example, and I know a common challenge I hear is that an item is created, we don't know where it is, lost in emails. Your email probably have 100 new since we started 45 minutes ago. You could see where those items are and where they are in the approval process at any point in time. So in this case, this approval is set to go to 3 different people, set to go to Steve, James, and then myself. But it also gives due dates on the approvals, and we can control if people can edit them or not. They can go to their admin assistants to notify them and or even delegate their approval authority. And if you have the right permission, you can even override those approvals, maybe if someone's out sick or something like that. And so these are workflows that are templated out. You can have different workflows, maybe for different departments or item types as well, too. So Gwinnett County, they're looking at us. They have a 12-step approval process, which hopefully is foreign to most of you, but might not be as well. So that's all can all be facilitated through eScribe. And in this case, I changed it so that it could just go to 2 different people, or I could add someone on the fly here. But I'll go back to this one and we'll push this through the workflow so you can see that experience. We'll add that item onto the agenda and we'll still run the world's fastest meeting. So I hit start workflow. Steve's going to get an email saying, Steve, you've got a new item to approve. And I won't pretend to be Steve today itself. But right away, we can see that this memo is in progress. So now you could click in at any point in time and see where this is. So this is sitting with Steve, and he has until the 17th to approve it. Still waiting for him. And Steve would click into the document, make his changes. Important to note that there's version control with the document, and they can also collaborate together on the creation of it. Or maybe Steve can add in more information here. So you could click right into this document. Again, it pops right open in Word, add some more information, and you can see every single time every user has been in there and made any changes to the document as well. I'm keeping it simple for this. And Steve would be able to approve. In this case, I'm going to approve on Steve's behalf and say, great work, Ryan. I was tempted to put my own name and hit approve. And then, and we'll click through two more of those very quickly. So again, real-time insight. We see this document has been approved by Steve, waiting for James here, and then myself. I'm just going to approve it 2 more times and show you how we add that item on. And then we'll run that, still have time to run the world's fastest meeting, believe it or not. So I have now approved on behalf of 2 others. And of course, yes, it indicates in the system that someone else approved on their behalf if they have the right permissions. So now I can approve as well. And I'm sure that the documents are perfect every single time as they come into you today. Being a little facetious here, you know, but we now see this item has been approved. So from the clerk's office, your work starts here. So for you to add this item on, you can see this item has been approved. And maybe from a workflow perspective, you just filter down based on approved items only. And it gives you your queue of items to add for a specific meeting. And they go out of your queue as you add each one on. So for yourself as the clerk, you could click in and see the document. Of course, we see that it's approved. It's already set to go on that June 26th meeting under finance, but for some reason from engineering. All that you need to do is click on menu, and this is where you could see that version history and other settings, but the most powerful one is create agenda item. And this is where, in doing so, it's going to pull that wording right out of the document. And I hadn't even put a title on it, so I better put one on it. We'll say new software. I think I would put on. Oh yeah, I did. Yes, new agenda software. If you're taking it to council or to legislature, it pulled the background right out of the document itself. It's indicating which department it's from, the meeting it's going on, the specific meeting, and maybe I decide that I need to push this out a month to the July meeting, and I click that one, and it'll move it over for me. And it's selecting where on the agenda it's going. And it's pulling that recommendation out as well, and the attachments that came through here. So all that I really did was hit create agenda item and do a quick review and hit save. And that item has now been added onto the agenda. And going back to this, then I just refreshed, and I now see that item there with the vote and the attachments on there. I know there's a lot here and there's a lot more to it. So let's run still the world's fastest meeting so that we can see how minutes are produced very quickly. And I realize there will be many questions, and I'm happy to go through this more thorough detail with any of you. So when it's meeting day, where yourself or whomever is taking the minutes, then I just change from pre-meeting to conduct meeting mode. So the select an encoder here, as I mentioned briefly earlier, you can use this to enable that webcast as well. And it would likely just default to your, so we provide you with an encoder where it can, you can enable that live stream. It connects to your existing AV equipment. And there's some other webcasting options as well. But when I hover over this, it would actually give me a preview of what's coming through those cameras. I don't actually have an encoder set up, but all I need to do is click this button to start the stream and the recording, and your webcast is now live. That's all it took. And when during the meeting, as I click on each individual item, and only I am seeing this or who has permission to do so, but when I click on the individual item throughout the meeting, then eScribe automatically does that timestamping of the video for me. So it's not
Okay.
like it's extra work. And then you'll be able to see them afterward too. So now it pulled in the attendees. I just hit roll call. And if everyone's here, I can just mark everyone in. And we'll just go through a couple quick items. So maybe if we, even if, and I don't recall if this is the case within your state, so forgive me, but if we're voting on adopting the agenda, so we click on the item, we can enter our minutes here, and we can enter them in rough format if we're even capturing any text. And maybe we don't need to put anything here, but I could put the minutes for fun. I don't need to save or anything. Most importantly, we're voting on this item. So in this case, the wording is that the agenda be adopted, or maybe I want to change it to motion to adopt. I know it doesn't even make sense, my wording. And I just picked my mover and seconder here. And I can either just pick the result, and the wording can be configured here for sure. If it's unanimous, I can just select carried, or I can hit open to voting. And in doing so, this is where I know we've got about 8 minutes left, and we'll get to Q&A in 2 minutes. But I could log individuals' votes if we like, and the wording for ayes, nays, yays, nays, etc. That can all be configured as well. But
Ethan,
this
just
each go
here,
ahead, Ryan.
while you're right in this view, a lot of counties use weighted voting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys
Love it.
have capacity to do that as well?
We sure do. So this one was set up as a majority vote.
Okay.
But okay, well, let's add on a second vote to this item. Maybe it's an amendment. Maybe. And so when I do that, I can put motion to have weighted voting, to run a weighted vote. Can't type at all. So then in this case, there are a number of different voting types. So this is set up as a majority voted, and we just select weighted. And we configure the weighting for you as part of that setup process.
Okay.
And we can always change it as well too. But there's a number of different voting types: election, unanimous, secret ballot, recorded votes, etc.
Wow.
So you can easily add that one on.
Fantastic. Okay, great.
So let's just for fun, I'll say that that was moved and seconded and carried. And then we can go off to that next item here and put some great discussion minutes in here, etc. And again, if we're voting on this item, pick our mover and seconder and result. And there's a lot more to this as well. We can add new items on the fly, track conflicts of interest. There's a full task manager. So after the meeting, we could even assign it to someone to do this, to run an RFP, and they can update their status on it as well too. But world's fastest meeting is what I promised. And if we went through all the items, or maybe we didn't, it gives me a little check mark as I do, then we have to approve the staff party, and then we'll conclude the meeting. So I just hit conclude, marks everyone out from an attendance perspective, and it takes us right into that post-meeting mode where the bookmarks that were created would appear here. And I'm not going to make any changes just in the interest of time. But I think this represents well how I know many folks have kind of their initial minutes document and then have the more verbose one afterward. So I can just go to prepare minutes and select prepare post minutes package. And eScribe's going to put all my minutes together with those vote outcomes, roll call, etc. And I will mention as well, of course, the template that you'll see for minutes here is likely not yours, and there are many different formatting settings on this. But I just hit view, and eScribe created my minutes document for me. Adoption, this is what I had typed in, mover, seconder, etc. So quick and dirty, I know that Betsy from Oswego County, I don't know if you're on the call or not, but for her, I believe that she had that kind of initial one, and this is bam, we're able to get the minutes right out of the gate. And then we can go back and enter more information, clean it up, have the full context if we are putting that in. and then issue that revised minutes document as well. So I think I should cut it there, because I know we've only got 4 minutes left. So Ryan, I apologize, I cut into the Q&A time, but I think we got time for a couple quick questions here.
Yeah, folks, you can submit your questions in the question and answer section, or I see the webinar chat. Either one's fine. We'll get to it. Ethan, Aaron from Broome County has a question here. In relation to preparing resolutions or other items for the agenda, does the software automatically, or can it be set to, send an email notice reminders to approvers in the workflow, as well as links that they can click to get the work list of pending items?
Absolutely.
The answer is
So
yes.
yes,
Yeah, go
it
ahead.
sure is. The answer is always yes. I'm a sales guy. I have to make those jokes, and I will certainly tell you no if the answer is not. But so yes, you would get an email, and I'm going to take a risk and open up my very messy inbox, but to prove that that sample memo email came through, this is what it looks like.
Cool.
And then also the second half of your question there was about where else could you see them. So you can go to an approval queue, for lack of a better term, and I'm going to filter down based on legislature, and I can see all these items. Maybe I'll just go for item to search for, items that are in progress, and I might not have any, but you can see I run a lot of these demos. So you could see you could have a full list. So going the example of Ryan, hopefully not on a Saturday morning, but you come here and this is your workload, Ryan. So you have to go through and approve all these, click in, review, approve.
So you can either do it in the portal, or you can click and do it through your email.
Exactly. That's right.
Great. Any other questions from folks? I do want to know, eScribe events put in Ethan's contact information. So if you do have questions for him, if you want to set up a demo, if you want much more in depth, I think we spent initially 2 hours with Ethan. You can really go deep dive into this. He'll be happy to meet with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just getting to know each other, and high level for today. Lots to go through. Should mention we also have a full board committee commission manager where you can track terms and accept applications and all of that stuff as well too. So yeah, if anyone would like to chat, really happy to do so and take you through it. I'll spend as much time with you as you like to make sure you've got a good understanding, and always love to introduce you to other clients who are working with us so you can get their perspective. So there is a poll open there if you wouldn't mind completing those 2 simple questions there. And otherwise, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate the time, and any follow-up questions, send them my way. We will be distributing this back to Ryan and team, and so that you can, it's available as well. And yeah, Ryan, Mark, thank you. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts there, Ryan, as well.
No, just every time you show me this product, Ethan, I learn a little bit more about it, and it's pretty neat. What you can do there it's pretty cool. Like, I did not know about the time stamping the agenda to the video, but anyhow, a lot of features, and I think it could be helpful for counties if they're interested in migrating to something other than Word and Adobe. So
exactly, maybe a little more time back in your day.
Yeah. Thanks again, Ethan. And
Thank you, Ethan.
to the team.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you all for attending. Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
Take care.